in the room. The Bucks win it tonight, 125-121, getting back into the win column over the San Antonio Spurs. Come on in the room. Adrian is our doctor. He writes out all of our scriptures. He gives us all of our medicine in our room. We are live here at the Cream City Crossovers. The Guru Trey Crosby III. Bucks win it 125-121. I know a lot of you are upset. A lot of you thought that this game should not have gone the way it went, that the Bucks, obviously, they were on the brink of losing to a 5-win San Antonio Spurs team, on the brink of losing their third in a row after dropping 2 to the Indiana Pacers. But the Bucks on a back-to-back, and that's the thing, the effort, again, this game was fun. And we'll get into some of the problems that we saw with this Milwaukee Bucks team. We'll definitely talk about it, right? But I think just take a second to enjoy the win. Because as upset as you are or may be, or as problematic as you think the Bucks look tonight, the game was on TNT tonight. Chuck was like, I guarantee that you would be even more upset if the Bucks came away with a loss instead of a win. It was a fun matchup, Giannis and Wemby. You could have cleared the floor tonight. That's how fun this matchup was. So I'm going to take it to that angle first, and then we'll obviously get into some of your comments. It's a solo night for Crosby again. I think it's going to be the last solo night because John Tyus will be back from his vacation in San Diego. Saturday night as we play the Houston Rockets. Also going to be on the radio, all your T's and Q's from 10 to noon Saturday as well, so you'll join us there. We'll talk about everything that's gone on. But a 125-121 victory. The Milwaukee Bucks defeat the San Antonio Spurs, powered by 44 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists from Giannis Antetokounmpo. Fun basketball game. And I know Bucks fans, we like the ones you win in 20 and 30 points. That didn't happen tonight. The Bucks had to grind one out and came back from being down. There were some positives to take from this. I get it. We'll talk about some of the negatives, but I do want to get into the positives. Bucks win it 125-121. If you want to get at me in the comments at TCIIIESQ to talk to me there on Twitter, and then obviously we can get into it from the YouTube as well. I'll take your comments there. Clearly a bot already says that was too close again. It wasn't close. It was very close, obviously. And again, but the Bucks win, so it's another clutch game. And get this though, a road win for the Milwaukee Bucks, who, I mean, you could say the team desperately needed a road win. If I'm just looking here, obviously I'm doing a triple-double, no assist myself here. I just want to make sure I get this right. Bucks are now 9-7 on the road. So before tonight, we're 8-7, 9-7 on the road. You're playing obviously very well at home. So of your 10 losses, the Milwaukee Bucks, 7 of them have come on the road. And really, I know, it looks like it's 3 that have come at home, but they have not. Remember, one of those in-season losses came during the in-season tournament. So all but 2 of the Milwaukee Bucks losses have come either on the road or outside of the friendly confines of Fiserv Forum. Let's do a game recap here. Giannis is going to get your Guru game ball. 44, 14, 7 assists, 2 steals, a block. He was 19 for 28 from the field, so basically 70% shooting for him. And how about that? How about those 3 balls? That all of you people, it's a turnover. Giannis shooting that 3, it's a turn. I have to come in here and tell you guys all the time, dude, Giannis works on that shot. This isn't a Patrick Ewing thing where he's telling the dude, do you work on that shot? Do you one leg step back? Do you shoot that shot? No, Giannis shoots that shot all the time. I don't know if you guys have league pass. I used to go to every game when I was in Milwaukee. Giannis comes out of halftime and takes threes, and I'm telling you, knocks them down at a high rate after halftime every single night. He shoots that shot. It doesn't always show in the box score, and obviously in his 3-point field goal percentage, it doesn't always show, but he works on that shot. He practices that shot, And listen, Giannis hits it, and like I always laugh. It's Reggie Miller. I'll take that, and it's so funny to me because after the three ball he hits, I don't know if he took the lead, tied it up, then went up by 3 or what it was. I'll take that. Well, you take that all the way to a loss, Reggie Miller. I love when he has. Well, I'll take that 3. Okay, well he'll take it too. We'll put it in, and Giannis put that thing in the basket. So again, 44, 14 and 7, huge night from Giannis. Then he went 4 for 6 from the free throw line. He had some clutch free throws late. He was dunking all over Wembanyama. I know this thing again because everybody was going to talk about Victor Wembanyama and how he played and how he matched up against Giannis. Let the record, and again, this is a close game, 125-121. Let the record show this wasn't really a competition. Now, the game ended up being a 4-point game. Giannis dominated. Like, it wasn't like it was like, oh, Wemby and Giannis went back and forth. Maybe for a couple highlight plays, they went back and forth. Giannis absolutely dominated and killed Wemby. The best play Wemby had over Giannis was the one. And again, I give him a lot of credit for the block, but that was a big clutch play late in the game to keep San Antonio, to give San Antonio a chance to win the basketball game. But Giannis dominated the matchup, 44-14 and 7 compared to 27-9 and 1. It was not close. It was not close. Let's not do that. So again, 44-14-7 for Giannis. Damian Lillard and Giannis combined for the last 25 points for the Milwaukee Bucks. That's what you want to see from Damian Lillard. I made the point and during the game and said another game, another guard out playing Damian Lillard. And that's what happened up until the fourth quarter where Damian Lillard decided he was going to go takeover mode. And you know what? He did hit a deep 3. That was his only 3 of the night that he made. 1 for 6, hit a deep 3, right? But outside of that, it was going to the basket. We talk about this all the time. I have the Damian Lillard fans come and talk to me all the time. He just stands around. He doesn't do it. They don't let him do it. No, Damian Lillard's got to turn that corner and get to the basket. For whatever reason, the shot's not falling. That's okay. You are good enough to go to the basket, to play your mid-range game, and to get there and get to the layup. Go ahead. So, I mean, just go and do that. And he did that tonight late in this game and absolutely helped the Milwaukee Bucks win. Without Damian Lillard's performance in the fourth quarter, the Milwaukee Bucks do not win this basketball game because God knows whatever else the hell the rest of these guys are doing. Chris Middleton, excellent first half. He only plays one half of basketball, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. I don't have a negative word to say about Chris Middleton. He's 5 for 8, played about 16 minutes tonight. First time we've seen him on a back-to-back in a long time. Chris Middleton, excellent job, Chris. I don't have any complaints. Malik Beasley, 10 points, 2 rebounds. He finishes 4 for 6, 2 for 4 from 3. Thought he made a couple boneheaded plays. Defensively, I thought Damian Lillard was decent as well, honestly. I really do think he put a lot of effort in tonight. He did have a steal, but I thought he had some deflections. I thought he played off-ball defense was a little bit better. But again, Beasley and again, Brook Lopez, 9 points, 4 rebounds. We have to talk about Brook Lopez, and that'll be again. I'm gonna start with the highs, and then I'm gonna get to the lows because I like to start on a high note. But Brook Lopez has, I think he's lost a step. I really do, but I'll save him for a second. I gotta save Bobby Portis for a second too. 5 points, 4 rebounds, 2 for 6, 0 for 2 from 3. I just don't know what he's doing anymore. I don't know. And so it's funny because I reversed my stance on whether or not you could trade Bobby. I'm going back again. Yeah, he's put him in the trade machine. Pat Connaughton, 7.6 rebounds. Pat is tough because he's having to grind his way out of basketball games, and it's not good, and it just seems odd. He continues to have to grind his way to even put up a 7 and 6, right? There was one play, and he has 3 turns. He has plays 28 minutes, doesn't handle the ball all that much. No assists. You can't have 3 turnovers with 0 assists. So I know what Pat Connaughton's out there doing. He had one play, I think it was in the third quarter, where Pat Connaughton's going to the basket. He has a free lane to the basket, and inexplicably, it gets into a turnover. So I don't know what that was. Robert Henry, you talk about the 3-pointer. Again, Patty's corner, as I think Lisa and Marcus like to call it. I was listening to TNT tonight, obviously, but I thought that was a good shot. He missed it. It should be his shot. But he missed the shot. He was out there. I don't know why he's out there, but he was out there. I thought Marjan Beauchamp played a very good game tonight. 8 points, 3 boards. He was okay. Campaign, 5 points, 4 assists. I thought that he was in spots okay and in spots not so good. The Spurs, again, if you are a betting man, just go to the guards anytime they're playing the Bucks and bet on them. Wembanyama 27-9. We'll talk about obviously the game he had. I thought he was excellent. Devin Vassell 34.6 boards, 4 assists. The thing about it was I thought early in the game it got to attract me and the Bucks weren't giving a lot of effort. I thought that when we got to the third, not early in the third, but late in the third, in the fourth quarter, I actually thought that the Bucks played a little bit better defense. But when you allow teams to do whatever they want and play at will for, 24 the first 48 minutes, well, again, confidence is a big thing. And so when you're shooting shots and you're uncontested and you're kind of getting free lanes to the basket, when you see that ball go in, it's kind of like a confidence booster where, and I think some of that, it's the opposite's happening with Damian Lillard, where the three ball's not going in, and the more you shoot, the less you make. The more you hit, that basket starts to widen up like an ocean, and you see it start to widen. And I think in the fourth quarter, even when the Bucks started playing, I thought some okay defense with a lot of effort. San Antonio's still hitting shots. San Antonio's still be able to knock down shots. So 34 for him. Trey Jones, 18 points, 6 assists. Shetty Osman, 13 points. Johnson put up 14 and 10. Our boy Sandro got in the basketball game as well. And then Jeremy Sochan, but who took the three? And I can't remember who actually took the three. I think it was Jones who took the three and lost the bat. Well, I don't say he lost the game, but he missed that three at the end, wide open in the corner. San Antonio down 3 points trying to get that three back. How about Reggie Miller, Reggie Miller to have played in the NBA, just so aloof. You can take a quick two here. I'm telling you, you cannot take a quick twos are stupid. You don't ever, I don't care what level of basketball. Well, I'm going to not say I don't care what level of basketball. Don't shoot that quick two. It does not work. In the NBA, college, it rarely works that you're going to shoot this quick two and then foul. And then did you hear him? And then you can take Giannis out. I'm just like, what is Reggie talking about? Like Giannis actively doesn't mind taking those free throws. And again, he had a clutch one tonight after that big dunk as well. Giannis took a charge. I thought that was big too. Just a lot of big time clutch moments from the Bucks. And so again, you look at it, you go to the box score here. The Bucks outscored the Spurs 32-28 in the fourth quarter. They outscored them 38-31 in the first. San Antonio won both the second and third quarters. But the Bucks came up big, when it mattered. I thought obviously Damian Lillard was a big piece of that. And then Giannis was just absolutely there's too many. I can't continue to come up with words for how Giannis looked tonight. I think he saw Wembanyama, and he's one of the only guys you can really count on. But he saw Wembanyama, and again, there were going to be two stories tonight. There was going to be the story of how Wembanyama played, and then it was going to be another, let's go bash the Bucks for losing. And at least, and again, the Bucks are still going to get bashed for how they played because the wins don't matter, the losses do. I understand that. That's just how people talk about Giannis. Well, not really Giannis, but the Bucks and Dr. Griffin. That's just how it goes for us. But at least you walk away with the win. And Giannis seemed determined not to let the first part of that be the story, that the Bucks were going to lose as well as Wembanyama having his night. And again, I was impressed with Wemby. I'll go to that point too, the Giannis and Wemby thing, and I mentioned it earlier, 44-14-7 versus 27-9-1. Victor did have 5 blocks as well. Wembanyama started off this game kind of rough because he just kept shooting threes. He ended up being 2 for 8. Giannis was 2 for 3 from the three-point line. But I thought that, Wemby started the game just kind of weird, just shooting every shot he could take, and then he started playing with a lot of force. And a lot of that, I thought the particular matchups between Giannis and Wemby won. So there was a back cut early in the game that I think Wemby got to and made a nice play on Giannis. And then there was the block at the end. Everything else outside of that, whenever they got matched up on each other, Giannis pretty much dominated that matchup. I thought the Greg Popovich did a really good job of keeping Victor Wembanyama away from Giannis. And you could tell they were trying to hide. You could easily tell they were trying to hide Wemby from Giannis, which again made sense. Giannis is a little bit too big, a little bit too strong. It showed throughout the course of the game. San Antonio tried to build a little wall. It didn't work. But again, the story of this basketball game is going to be the Bucks defense, Giannis relentlessness, and then Damian Lillard, throughout the fourth quarter, finally getting his way. Again, kudos to the Spurs. The Bucks are the hunted. Like, there's the hunters and the hunted. The Bucks have done their hunting, and they are now the guys with the big bullseye. Like, they are the guys that you circle every night when you come into the arena. And it doesn't matter if you're on a back-to-back. It doesn't matter what you come from. It doesn't matter if you lost a couple in a row to Indiana. None of that matters. When you go play anybody in their arena or they're coming to you, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is. Today's a Thursday. The Pacers was a Wednesday night. On a Monday, Saturday night against the Houston Rockets, and the Bucks have already beaten this Houston team. I believe they beat them in Houston, if I'm not mistaken. It does not matter. The Milwaukee Bucks will be circled. There will be a target, a bullseye on the Bucks' back, because as much as everybody, that's the crazy thing, as much as everybody else likes to talk about, the Bucks, I don't know if they're real contenders. I don't know if they're threats. I don't know. We can say that, but every team sees the Bucks and goes, I want to show myself against them. I have to show how I'm going to beat them, right? And that's what you see. You see teams you see Devin Vassell play like a way he doesn't play. You see Trey Jones play in a way that he doesn't play. Barlow playing in a way he doesn't play. D. Cole says, yeah, they get circled because they don't play defense. I disagree with that. I just saw Detroit play Boston. And again, Detroit just wants wins, period. But you get to the point where you want wins. You want to find ways to get wins. And when I say you want to find, but you want to measure yourself against the top competition. And for the Bucks defense or whatever, you see Damian Lillard over there, you see Giannis Antetokounmpo over there. You want to take it to them. Don't tell me Victor Wembanyama. Don't tell me it was the defense. No, it was I'm going up. Giannis is on the other side. I ducked him last time in his arena. We're at my house now. I want to go up against Giannis. 100%. He did. And again, for a rookie, he admirable what Wemby did tonight. He absolutely destroyed Brook Lopez. That was the matchup. A lot of times they were on each other. I thought Giannis really could have played Wemby more. I would have liked to see that from Adrian Griffin, but I understand. But I understand if you're gonna have Brook out there. I get what we were doing. With having Brook on Wemby, because I thought there were a couple times where Brook's size did intimidate Wemby at some points, but for the most, Wemby's just a little too fast, a little too agile for Brook Lopez, and the only thing I say about Wemby, and I'm not hating, listen, I like Wemby, and not that and again, I like Tyrese Halliburton, but Tyrese Halliburton has gotten to the point where it's like, you go from like that baby face to heel really quick, and Hallie is like really embracing the, I'm this guy, and again, that if I was a fan of Indiana Pacers, 100%. I don't have any problem with it. But as I'm watching it, it's just, okay, you've graduated from, hey, we just like how you play no matter what's going on, to, oh, you want to be an enemy, we can treat you like an enemy. And Wemby right now is still on that, whatever you do, I like it. It's really fun. But, Giannis has transitioned from that as well. Giannis used to be, again, come up from Giannis was, oh my God, everything he does is so fun, to, I hate the jokes. And then, I think it really started to change. Remember when Giannis sat on the middle of the court in Philadelphia? He did that, and I think that's that to me was the two defining moments for Giannis when it changed from, I understand why people don't like him as a player, not only because of his style of play, but when he did the crown, when he beat LeBron and did the crown, and then when he sat on the floor in Philly. I think both of those moments kind of got you, oh, okay. Because I think people were okay with the mean mug, but because it was after a dunk on somebody. But once you do that, you get people to say, okay, this guy's a little cocky. And Halliburton's a little cocky. Wembanyama, I didn't feel that tonight. The only thing I say about Wembanyama, that's why I was kind of prefacing myself. The only thing I say about Vic is I don't gush over the dunks. The moves he makes, love them. It's stuff, obviously, 7'5", whatever, he's tall as I don't know what. The things that he does on the floor, I can't say enough about. But the dunk, he doesn't jump very high. So it's like hard to get excited for me. Like the move he had, I think there was a steal, then he went behind the back, and then so he got the steal, he goes behind the back, cross Dame, and then dunks it through Brook Lopez. Great move. I just like when you don't dunk, it's like in the dunk contest, like if you don't dunk with power and force, it's not an impressive dunk. It's like you dunked on a Nerf hoop, which impressive because you're that tall and that agile and that limber to do it. But the dunk itself, like Giannis, like 7 foot is like just tall enough. Like where Giannis is at, just tall enough to where you still have to elevate and throw it down. Like Victor Wembanyama's dunks aren't throwdowns. Again, I'm not hating. I like it. I absolutely like the moves and I think it's great. But I just don't go, oh my God. I don't do all that because he didn't get off the ground. Like he's that tall. It's impressive, but you don't get off the ground. Okay, let me get to some of your comments. I've been rapping here for probably 20 minutes. I say all that to say, though, was I excited about the win? Yeah, more so than a loss. You lose 2 games in a row. I'd rather see a win than a loss. Was some of this concerning? Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you that. I'll give you a little bit concerning. Let me go through some of your comments. You guys have been going at it. Nick said the 3 balls were cold. They were. Why Lillard help on Wemby 1 pass away, up 3, 8 seconds left. So I thought the same thing. But Trey Jones, I mean, I'm working by myself tonight. If I go to Trey Jones' stats, I believe that's who took the 3, if I'm correct. He's shooting the 3 last 5 games, hadn't made a 3. He shoots the 3-point ball at 22%. So that was absolutely the correct play. If you're going to do that and leave somebody open, a pressure shot to tie the game up and send it to overtime, that's the guy I want you to have that shot over Victor Wembanyama, who, you play NBA 2K, some guys have that clutch gene, some guy, when Wemby shoots the ball, it's like, even if he's having a rough night, that might go in. Damian Lillard shoots the ball, even if he's having a rough night, that might be going. Chris Middleton shoot the ball, even if it's a rough night, might go in. Trey Jones, I'm liable to say, let's see what he does. And he bricked one out for you, so I thought that was okay. So again, I did in the moment. I'm with you. I thought that was an interesting decision, but they wanted to get the ball out of Victor Wembanyama's hands and see if he'd do something stupid with it. Much like Grayson Allen, remember last year against Miami? It's like, yeah, I'm okay with giving a bad player a lane to the basket. I remember Bruce Brown did it, I believe, with the Nets. He's much better now, but Bruce Brown did it with the Nets against the Bucks, I think, in one of those series back in 2021, where, I'd rather see a guy like that, not used to having the ball, not used to making clutch plays, have to make the clutch play versus the clutch player having to beat somebody. So in that sense, I do think it worked. Robert Henry says, definitely take that win. Swept Spurs. Needed after losing 2 to Indy. Giannis stepped up at the big at the end. Now hope to take another one down road in Texas versus Houston. Yeah, it's a little Texas 2-step there against Houston. Good, tough win, Bucks. So I appreciate that, Robert. Like, there's a lot of naysayers. Hey, and what do we say? Let a naysayer know. A lot of naysayers. A lot of naysayers that want to hate on what the Bucks doing, but Giannis let naysayers know tonight with his 44 points. And again, I thought, he says it's a good, tough win. I agree. I thought it was again, I'm gonna get to the disappointing things that the Bucks did, but I appreciate that they did what they needed to do at the end to get the dub. Nick C also says Chris is playing better than Dame these past few weeks. Yeah, I'd agree. Pat's liability. Yeah, absolutely. Man, the whole defensive thing is pathetic from D. Cole 123. Nick C says Brook has lost a step, and I'm convinced we need PJ in the playoffs. Brook is unplayable to switch. We need somebody that can switch on the perimeter and let Giannis cook at the 5. So we'll stop there and let's kind of get into that part of it. What I do is our defense wasn't even this bad when Kid was our coach, and Kid had a worse roster. D-Cole 123, you're not incorrect that the defense was better and Kid had a worse roster. But again, it's not about the roster. This is about age. A lot of this, I believe, is not much about, because I think we're getting into schemes and talk. To me, a lot of the problem is that guys, I think that Brook Lopez has lost a step. I truly do. And again, he still hits a 3. And I do think, and I'll even say this, I think that there are some matchups against Philly and against, like, maybe if you come up against a Denver, where Brook Lopez will be vital because Joel Embiid's game is not agile to get past. He's flopping him around, but Embiid is playing like a true 7-foot big man, and to have a guy like Brook Lopez will help. Nikola Jokic isn't trying to finesse around you, so a Brook Lopez will be vital in a series like that. And so that's a $15 million. I think whatever he said. What did Brook Lopez sign for? $50 million, something like that, to bring Brook back and have to use him just in certain series. He's an expensive accessory, but I do think he can be used in series against players of that caliber, right? But then against your Victor Wembanyama's, if you see Boston in the playoffs and against your guys like Kristaps Porzingis that are moving around on him a little bit too much, that can hurt. And also guys that really play on the perimeter, that hurts. And then the other thing that's just so surprising is, like, I knew that part of his game could have some issues, but it just seems like so many guys are able to get to the basket, and whereas a Brook Lopez outstretched 7'3" hand used to not only get blocks but really contest shots, he just is not impacting shots at the rate that he used to. And is some of that the fact that he typically has a man behind him and maybe people aren't rotating well to get there? I don't know. But, and that may be making him late to jump, because how many times have I seen guys straight line drive to him, he jumps, and there's a pass right around him for a layup behind him too. That happens too. So I think there's a combination of both of those things going on that hurt Brook. But I do think, again, I think he's just lost a step. Maybe the time is a little bit off, whatever it is. But he used to contest shots a little bit better. And yeah, Nick's going in and saying, yeah, Jason Kidd had a bunch of uber athletic young guys. That is the difference. Is everybody was much closer to MarJon in athleticism versus Brook Lopez, slow and lanky. And so we're at the point now where I thought we had like two good defenders in Giannis and Brook. We really have one. Like, Giannis is, like, if you notice, Giannis on ball is like one of the only guys, because I'm like, every time I watch him, I'm like, is it really scheme? Is this a Dr. Griffin problem that he's not scheming these guys up right? But again, I watch it and the Bucks and it's like, well, he doesn't change it up. The Bucks play like 4 different defenses a night. Like, they'll play a 2-3. They'll play like a hybrid matchup 2-3 zone. They'll switch man-to-man. They'll play drop when, like, they try everything. And again, the difference is nobody can keep anybody in front. And the only explanation I've seen from people is, well, guys are playing up too high. I don't even disagree with that. I think we do have some guys that are playing up a little bit too high. But as I mentioned last night on the show, Chris Milton backed off. I believe it was... of course, I forgot who. Tyrese Halliburton. Chris Milton backs off Tyrese Halliburton, and Tyrese Halliburton drops 2 threes right in his face, hand down, man down. So, and again, I watch other teams, and everybody else, and I say everybody, but a lot of different teams, even the Spurs tonight, are playing up high and hugging guys. And I get, maybe we don't have the athletes to do that, but that's Adrian Griffin. If you remember, Dr. Griffin came in his introductory press conference and said, we're going to pressure the ball. Now, again, he thought he was going to have Drew Holiday as his primary on-ball defender. Side note, Drew Holiday, I watched him the other night watching Shai Gilgeous-Alexander run right by him. He looked just like Malik Beasley last night, the other night when they played Oklahoma City. So, food for thought there. Drew Holiday got benched in the last 8 minutes. So, again, he has people who were questioning, the Dame trade and, is it working out? And, the Bucks really missing Drew Holiday. Did we talk about Brook Lopez maybe losing a step? Has Drew Holiday lost a step? And did the Bucks moving off of Drew Holiday, was that the exact right time to do that? I don't know. We can discuss that at a later date. But I think the issue is you don't have the athletes, and more and more I'm becoming. I know you guys say, well, you're just making an excuse for Dr. Griffin, but more and more I think it's just a personnel issue, because I've seen the Bucks in 4 different defenses, and again, the zone stuff. It's in the NBA. It's a gimmick, because you can't. Your back man in the 2-3. This isn't like college. Your back man in the 2-3 zone can't camp out in the paint. So 2-3 zone in the NBA, and I know teams will run it. Miami will run it. It's a great way to give a team a different look. And I think in the playoffs it works well, because if you can give a team a different look, for every possession is important. If you can change your look for 2 or 3 possessions and confuse the team for even 3 possessions, it's big in the middle of the game. But you can't run that exclusively. And That's what the Bucks end up trying to do, just to stop straight line drives. And the Spurs, for a young team that's only won 5 games, did a really good job because, again, the way you beat the zone, all you got to do is get the ball to the middle. If you get the ball to the middle, you're either going to get an open shot, or if that guy pulls up on you, it's so easy. Once the ball gets to the middle, because of the way the zones work in the NBA and because of the way shooters are, you're going to give up something very easily. If you collapse on me, we try and get somebody behind you, or if you're collapsing that far down to me, I'm kicking out, and it's the NBA, guys are shooting contested threes at a high rate. So it's very easy to beat the zone for whatever team seems like to get to the guys like to get to the middle. They're scared to bring the ball to the middle, but Victor Wembanyama being 7 foot tall, 7'5", yeah, you can dump it right into him to the middle. He saw over defense, and they killed that zone 100%. I think again that it may just be a personnel issue. Bianca Collins says Brook got cooked all night. The Bucks seem too slow this year, honestly. Before and after, I'm worried about the defense. I'm concerned with the Bucks defense, but listen, just like we're talking about this, just like you're talking about this, just like we're all seeing it, John Horst is seeing this stuff as well. And so I think I 100%, and Jay Crowder's going to help. I'm not saying Jay Crowder is a savior, but Jay Crowder will 100% help. Before and after, also saying just need to make a trade or two. $24 million for Brook, yep, 100%. But Bruce Brown was 1 of 13 on floaters against the Bucks in the Brooklyn series. Now he can't miss. Right? Yeah, he has stepped up his game. I was firmly in the camp of Bruce Brown stinks, and yeah, no, he's a good basketball player. You can't give him those shots now. He has a lot of confidence and he plays well. But John Horst sees this stuff too. And so, because John Horst sees it, I do think you'll see some of those changes. I do think you will see it, and so that's where I was getting on. Jay Crowder's going to come back. He's not going to be your savior, but he's going to be able to help the Bucks play small ball at the 5. And then, do you get a PJ Tucker in a buyout? Are you willing to trade a Bobby Portis? We talk about this all the time. Can you get and again, I think it's small. I think you need one good on-ball defender that would change the entire landscape of this basketball team. Just give me one. Just give me one. Give me one guy that is going to get on whoever the opposing team's best player, and I got to stop him. I'm just not going to let him run directly into my bigs on every possession. I'm not going to stop him. I'm not going to lock him down, but I'm not going to give up 16 points in floaters and mid-range 14-foot bunnies to star players and just gift them those points all night long because they're going to get around me. Like Malik Beasley has a tough time navigating screens. Again, some of that is playing too high on a ball some of that is playing too high on to the opposing player, playing them almost outwards at 40 feet. I'll agree with some of that. But Dr. Griffin wants to challenge the ball. And again, other teams are able to do it. And again, it's personnel. I do think it's personnel. Can you get a Caruso? Can you get a DFS? Can you get a Marcus Smart? I don't know. Maybe you will. Memphis is trash. Like, I don't know that Memphis is going to be able to get this thing. I don't know that Memphis is going to be able to get this thing back handling. I don't know that they will. Will they then just give up on a guy like Marcus Smart? Do they? I don't know. Because Memphis, as good as Ja Morant is, if you're not telling me Steven Adams is going to be back with that basketball team and some of the injuries they have, I don't know that they can get back really in contention. So do you go for one of those guys? I do think there's something to be said about locker room presence. So if you let go of a guy like Bobby, you want somebody else who's going to be an emotional leader, and maybe Peter Tucker can be that guy. But I think you need to have the defensive versatility on the backside and from your perimeter guards. You need one or two extra guys to do that. Again, Jay Crowder might be a guy that can do that on the back end, but you definitely need somebody on the front end. Marjan played much better tonight. I thought Andre Jackson Jr., he had a quick hook tonight. I mean, he came in and got a foul, and Griff took him right out. So I don't know if there's I don't know if that's like a doghouse thing or like what's going on with those two, but I thought Andre Jackson Jr. had a really, really quick hook. I know he didn't play too many minutes, but he did he had a real quick hook even when he came in, and it was a bad foul because I think it was not away from the ball foul, but it was like 30 feet from the basket. He makes a foul, and the Bucks were in the San Antonio's in the bonus, and so Like I said, he came right back out. So I don't know what the deal was with that. Maybe we'll find out. But the Bucks do get a win, 125-121. Played down the stretch. Again, Giannis and Dame were just incredible offensively. And that's the thing. You just need to make a couple stops. Can you make a couple stops down the stretch? And can you keep scoring and make a couple stops down the stretch? Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, the Milwaukee Bucks are on pace for the fourth highest point total per game offense, not this year in the NBA, in the association for the history of the NBA. This is right now as we speak, and again, this was before the Indiana game, but they were on pace for the fourth highest point total producing offense in the history of basketball ever. Now, who'd you run up against? You ran up against Indiana Pacers, who right now are on pace for being number 2 all time. Scoring's up, we get that, and you got to be able to get some stops. But again, I think those are what you can do to help that. Let's go to some Twitter comments as well. At Max All-Star says, fun game, got the win, entertaining hoops. Giannis is still him. Dame came around in the second half, on to the next. At NatHand_12 says, nah, there's no way you feel good about this. Listen, when you say feel good about it, I'd rather have the win. Again, we can acknowledge some of the defensive issues. And we can acknowledge some of the defensive issues, and we can acknowledge that, the Bucks have allowed teams to score on them. But I'm telling you, I'm not going to go, balls to the wall about crying and screaming and kicking about this basketball team until we get to the All-Star break and beyond and post-deadline. Because post-deadline, you can't do anything about the team. So you are going to have to pick it up. And how you look at that point is going to be concerning. I've seen this team, and you have too. We've all seen this team look great running through teams, and then you can't. And then the playoffs come, and you can't stop a nosebleed. You can't stop Jimmy Butler. You're giving up threes. So, again, the Bucks have the ability to move the scoreboard. They're doing it well. Giannis plays with a lot of force. And, again, you have a guy like Dame, top 75 player. When he's playing like he played in the fourth quarter, you can generate some wins, and you can give up some offense for defense because you're going to make those plays, especially when you got Giannis knocking down threes like he did. At He Manson says, all I got to say about the game is thank you, Giannis. That's it. Nothing else. AZip70 says Pat needs to be traded tomorrow. He's beyond unplayable. He's atrocious on both ends of the floor and provides nothing. Yeah, listen, I don't disagree on Pat. I know he has a strong. How about that for Damian Lillard? So you come to the Bucks and you're thinking, oh, okay, I get my friend Pat Connaughton. Oh wow, and they hired my coach Terry Stotts. And what about the Bucks if they give up both of them at that point in time? That would be a little bit funny. Everybody's upset about Pat. Marvin Lee at Light Seraph says, why is Pat still on this team? Payne and Bobby are tradable. Horse, don't screw up this season when you have Giannis and Dame. Pride showed up tonight for Giannis. What a way to close the game. I hope to see more players wake him up. Mean mug Giannis needs to be constant. I agree. I do think that this was a pride game. I talked about it yesterday on Twitter where, because everybody's talking about, the coach has got to make guys run through walls. Dude, you get a check that makes you run through a wall. And what about playing for the name on what do you say? Play for the name on the front of the jersey, name on the back of your jersey. If I'm Giannis, I'm not letting a young 20-year-old on his birthday come and do whatever he wants. I'm not letting it happen. I'm not allowing that to happen. And so, again, Giannis showed up, absolutely powered through Wemby, and again, he was the difference tonight. Justin from NC, my guy, Rated R Noob, says, I feel like we're not clicking right now, and we're fortunate to get a win in San Antonio. Hopefully they can use to start a long streak. I like the way Dame battled. He was off for 65% of the game, but closed well. Giannis was out of this world. Wemby's block was crazy. Let's beat Houston. Yeah, 100%. I echo all those sentiments. Wemby, great block. Again, I think that was really his only good defensive play against Giannis. Came at probably one of the biggest moments of the game. But he absolutely had to make a big play. He did it, and good form. Bucks ended up coming out with the win. Drew Barringer says the defense is absolutely reeks. Giannis and Dame carried them. Roster needs major upgrades. The bench is putrid. Somebody saying Reggie sucks, but Reggie Miller. That's Reuter Hall UWLX. D White 4451 says Pat might have ended his Bucks tenure tonight. Wow, everybody is on the Pat's gotta go train. Bobby was unplayable. Campaign was meh. Marjan was okay. Ajax, rookie. You know, and so, and we talked about this too. So if everybody is seeing what we're seeing in Pat Connaughton, right? Everybody's seeing what we see in Pat Connaughton. Then let me explain this to you. If you want to trade for somebody who's better than Pat Connaughton, you're not going to be able to give up Pat Connaughton and get somebody back because everybody else sees what you see. So trading your pile of dirt and sticks and rocks and lint that you pull out of your pocket, that's what he's going to be worth to somebody else. So remember that when we talk about it. And then, because there's a lot of people go, well, we got to get rid of Bobby. I can't get rid of Bobby. Remember, you have dirt and sticks and stones in one hand. You got to add something to shine that up to make something attractive if you want to get something attractive. At Sean T. Cronin says, for Hall of Famers, really shocking how Reggie Miller doesn't know ball. Jay Horva, of course, I haven't even read this yet, but I know he's going to say something negative about the Bucks. This is way too close. The defense is miserable. The coach can't connect with this team. The offense is stale. The trade machine has to get in gear. And that's where we're going to stop right there. Beep, beep, beep. Back it up. The offense is stale. What did I just say? Fourth highest offense in the history of offense. And for people to say the offense is stale, I'm in like a Facebook group chat, a Bucks group chat, and the people are like, it was just Giannis just running around. Like, y'all don't see sets. Y'all don't see the Bucks running pick and rolls and screens. Everybody, listen, it's like once some happens, people just stop. Everybody's been begging for Giannis and Dame pick and rolls. You've been begging. Why don't they do it? They don't do it enough. This is the problem. They don't do. You know, how many times, 2 games in a row now, I mean, they've almost been spamming pick and roll. They've been spamming 2-man game between Giannis and Dame. Now, Dame has not gotten his shot to go, and I thought, again, tonight he played so much better getting himself to the basket. I still don't think he gets the calls that he should, but they seem to have started to play off of each other very well. And I think maybe it was a blessing in disguise. I know this is going to be good for my guy, Titonia World. Was it a blessing in disguise that Chris Middleton wasn't on the floor in the fourth quarter to change the flow? Where, again, those guys, Giannis and Dame, scored the last 25 points between each other. And you couldn't defer to a Chris Middleton. And Chris Middleton didn't get that 3-point shot. Even if it would have gone in, even if it would have helped, those two knew, hey, it's you and me right now. We have got to win this game tonight. We cannot lose a third in a row, especially to a 5-win San Antonio team. So offensive-wise, you, me, let's go. And that's what they did, whether it was Dame just getting himself to the basket, going pick and roll, getting the ball to Giannis. Giannis looks, listen, we talk about improvement. And again, I don't know, is it Dr. Griffin? What is it? Giannis looks, do you remember I wish I could go back to the first 5 or 6 games of the season and how I used to talk about Giannis on his pick and roll. And we used to talk about it. We used to talk about the pick and pop. Giannis used to do the pick and stop. I have not said that, I don't think, in 20-some games. That used to be our pick and roll. Was Giannis would come, set a screen, Dame gets off the screen, bounce past Giannis, and Giannis at the free throw line freeze. What's happening? I don't know what's going on. Within 20 or 30 games now, Giannis has improved his decision-making going to the basket tenfold. Off the Damian Lillard bounce pass to him. I give you one further. Damian Lillard used to, and again, Chris does it still often, where Damian Lillard would almost like roll the ball to Giannis. And again, it's one of the things I would always hate for a 7-footer, for your point guard to, as he's passing the ball, to make Giannis bend over to go get it. Don't do that. It almost seems like now Giannis, and the guy who does this very well is LeBron, famously, who they say LeBron makes passes to where you don't have to adjust the ball. LeBron gets his passes, guys, and they're ready to shoot. They don't take a second to adjust the ball or anything. It seems like now Damian Lillard's bounce pass, just watch it. And maybe I'm lying, and this is something, I haven't broken it down at all. I come here, just watch the games, and I talk about them just like you. Damian Lillard now, it looks like to me, bounces that ball much higher when he's trying to get the ball to Giannis on the screen. so that and Giannis doesn't seem like he fumbles. So that way Giannis can keep his eye on the basket. I don't have to think as much about grabbing the ball. Ball's gonna hit me. I'm ready to go, and now I can make my move. I can make my pass out of it. If they're gonna triple team me and build a wall, I can get to the bottom. Whatever I want to do. So when we talk about this offense, I'm not gonna get down with the offense is being stale, and I'm not even gonna get down with, well, it's just Damian Lillard. Yeah, that's what offense. No, it's not, because Damian Lillard has had his fair share of stinkers. He absolutely has, and was headed for it tonight. The Bucks still putting up 125 on the San Antonio Spurs. At Chris _ Bucks 34 got the win. Not pretty, but when we've seen Detroit go into Boston and fall short of a colossal upset, then you have the Timberwolves get blown out by an up and down Pelicans team. Any night in the NBA really applies. And yeah, I think it also goes back to Hunter versus Hunted, where, the San Antonio Spurs circle the calendar. They want to get a win, and they played up to the Bucks tonight. At hashtag I'm him. Bucks need to play more selfish basketball throughout the game with Giannis and Dame two-man game like they did in the fourth quarter. I trust either of them to take a bad shot more than I trust a corner three from Pat Connaughton, Bobby Portis, or Marjan. Yeah, the Bobby Portis thing, again, I've talked about it, where the ball just stops with him. Bobby Portis can get the ball, you must run back on defense because the ball is going, it stops so often with either a three. And then the thing is, once Bobby Portis isn't hitting the threes, well, now it's like he had one where he's now like passing up open shots. And that is a problem in itself as well, where you're now passing up open shots to drive into no man's land. Now, he had one tonight where he got in the corner. It was open, and then he did like a half pump as the guy was coming towards him. Now, Pat Connaughton would have gone flying into the second row, but he actually, instead of taking the three-pointer, allowed the man that was coming over to close out to get into position to then basically reset their defense. It's like, what are you on the floor for if we're doing that? I don't get it. At KK Levin says, thank F for Giannis. Griffin might not last the season with this defense. Wemby is good. And again, we talk about it. Adrian Griffin's not going to be. Listen, the only way Dr. Griffin gets terminated is if the Bucks lose in the first round. That's or I could even say second round if the showing isn't well. Adrian, it's a pipe dream. You can be upset about it all you want. He's not going anywhere. Giannis handpicked the guy. Go, Nick Nurse. Giannis didn't want Nick Nurse. The reason Nick Nurse pulled out from the job was because he wasn't going to get the job. And I think he was going to be embarrassed because his understudy, Adrian Griffin, was going to get a job over him. I'm not saying that he deserved it by merit over Nick Nurse. I don't think he's a better coach than Nick Nurse right now. Again, I don't know what he's going to be. And again, the caveat with Dr. Griffin is the fact that he's only coached 30-some games as the lead guy. Not that I hope that's not the case. Like, anybody thinks he's the bad coach, but the fact, I think that what they want is for him to coach a team that's up and coming. And again, what I'll say, I don't like to. Well, let me say, I play the race card when it's dealt. A lot of times, what happens is, and again, young black coaches, but Adrian Griffin's not even young, but some black coaches, they'll get these young teams that they'll be giving these young teams, these young upstart teams. They kind of get them halfway competitive. And then, boop, you block them out and get somebody who is more tenured in, and often white, and they get the more tenured guy in, and he gets to actually reap the benefits of having a good basketball team. Where, like, when the team was young, they had to battle through and scrap with the upstart guy. And so right now we're getting the upstart guy who has the team that's ready to go, and we'll see whether it works or not. But you have to allow Adrian Griffin to go through these growing pains, and he will. And just like this defense, just like this entire roster, I will start to criticize harsher and be more judgmental once we get past the All-Star break. Because the other deal is, and I've said this before, you didn't hire Adrian Griffin to win you games in January. That's just not what he's for. And again, if you did, he's done a damn good job of it, because the Bucks are 25-10. So we're crying about wins. Well, and you're really not even you're not crying about win-loss, you're crying about style points. Take away the losses to Indiana, the Bucks are 24-6. That's how good this basketball team is. Take away 4 losses to the Indiana Pacers, the Milwaukee Bucks are 24-6. It's a good basketball team, folks. At Adrian294-82469. For as fun as this offense team is, see, that's duality of man. I got one guy telling me the offense stinks. I got another guy telling me the offense is fun. This team has to get much better on defense, or the Celtics or Miami are going to beat this team in the playoffs, because you have to play at least some defense. You can't just let anyone score at will the way the Bucks do. I'll agree with that. Yeah, the Bucks defense has to get better. Again, it's got to be around league average. The Bucks defense has to be around league average. That's what they got to be. And you can, if you can get the league average, you can play with that. Is Miami gonna beat the team? Yeah, Jaime Jaquez and those guys are gonna go crazy, but it's gonna take Jimmy Butler. And we talk about Heat culture all the time, and Jimmy Butler doesn't even play in the regular. I don't understand how that's part of Heat culture. I don't get. I just maybe I'm missing something. Like, how is Heat culture? How is Heat culture? We do everything. We're scrappy. We're hungry. That's Heat culture. We're gonna fight you tooth and nail. We're tougher than you. We work harder than you. We sweat harder than you. How is that Heat culture? And then Jimmy don't even play in the regular season half the games. He don't even care about the regular season. How is that grinding? You just show up for the playoffs. You show up that's my question for Heat culture. So we talk about the Heat. All right. Tell me what part of the culture that is for the Heat, that you can just do that that you don't show up to the playoffs start and then it's all look how we gritted and sweated. You didn't grit. You just didn't try. You didn't show up for your fans. You didn't show up for the opposing fans. You didn't play during the year, and you just show up in the playoffs and scream culture. Come on. Mike from Whiskey says, other than Giannis, something's very off this team and coaching staff. Serious introspection needed. Can't have a 5-win team push you like this, even with the Wembanyama. Who needs Giannis' muscles to be unstoppable? Well, Wemby probably could have had a few more points if he had added some muscle. I'll say that. I think he was good. I'm not going to give him any credit. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to deny that San Antonio played well, but the Bucks got the win, and they did enough. And again, that fourth quarter, I will say, I thought the problems with the Bucks were in the first half, some, and then throughout the third a little bit. In the fourth quarter, I actually think if you go back and watch the tape, I think the Bucks defense was pretty good in the fourth quarter. San Antonio hit some shots. I think the start of the fourth quarter, hitting threes. They even, if you remember the way the Bucks they don't stagger everything, and Giannis and Dave. Think about that. Giannis played the Bucks. The Bucks wanted to win this game. Anytime you play Giannis 39 minutes on the second game of a back-to-back, like, the Bucks wanted to win the basketball game, 100%. But I thought even those first few minutes without Giannis, I believe the Bucks were a -3, which again, that's not bad from that group, because you can see how things unravel quickly when Giannis goes out of the game. So I thought those guys fought very hard. Whether or not, how they play offense is a different story. But I thought those guys fought really, really hard on the defensive side of the ball in the fourth quarter. But again, when you let guys score at will all night long, even when you start playing good defense, it can kind of fall apart for you because guys just have the confidence. Bianca Collins says DeLon Wright might be good. We have a first-round pick 24, I thought. Do we have a first-round pick in 24? There may be a swap. I believe the Bucks have a first-round swap. Now, also remember, the Bucks gave up like 5 second-round picks for Jay Crowder. So I know there are some second-rounders that you can I know there are some second-round picks that the Bucks maybe would use, but they won't have as many as they would have had because they used all of them up on Jay Crowder. So Jay Crowder is going to have to come in and play some good basketball. What up, Colin Racine? Says he just joined the block on Giannis by Wemby was ridiculous. I just hope the Bucks are going through a hard practice in the regular season. Again, it was a tough game. I've been talking about it, Kyle. It was. The first half was fun, and then I thought the second half the Bucks were gonna roll, especially in the third quarter where the Bucks came out and just went. The Bucks went up 11. You're like, okay, now they're gonna really start to finish this off, and they just didn't. John Hassel says Bucks got lucky. See, I wouldn't go there. Explain to me how the Bucks got lucky. Explain that to me. Explain where the Bucks got lucky. In what way were they lucky? Giannis was playing with force the entire night. Giannis scored 25 of the last points in the fourth quarter. The Spurs certainly couldn't stop them in the fourth quarter at all. The Bucks had over 60. The Bucks were leading at halftime. The Bucks scored 38 in the first quarter. And then outscored San Antonio by 4. So again, the Bucks had whatever 38 and 20. I think that's 64 points or whatever it was in the first half, and followed it up with what is that 60 in the second half, 61 the second half. So where do you get that the Bucks were like lucky? That's my only question. Like offensively, the Bucks were really really good, and defensively they didn't play as well. But I don't like that's not luck to me. I thought San Antonio played well for what they did. Whether or not they're that good or whether they were playing up, it's a different story. But I just don't get how the Bucks were lucky. 42 and 42, the rebounding margins were the same. See, the Bucks had 27 assists. The Bucks shot 53% from the field. San Antonio shot a worse percentage from the field than the Bucks. I thought that San Antonio was pretty lucky that they shot almost as well from three. Or let me see. No, they actually hit more threes than the Bucks. How many times has San Antonio beaten the team that they played in 3-point percentage? I doubt very often, and I don't think the Bucks 3-point defense was bad at all. Again, I'll just give you some numbers, and you tell me how you saw it. Victor Wembanyama was a -11 plus minus. Jeremy Sohan -14 plus minus. Devin Vassell -10 plus minus. Trey Jones -9 plus minus. Every San Antonio Spurs starter was a minus. Every one of them. Every Milwaukee Bucks starter was a plus. Every single one of them. Every Milwaukee Bucks bench player minus Pat Connaughton was a minus. So tell me that. Losing the lead, and San Antonio missed a lot of wide open looks. I didn't. So again, maybe we watched different games. Forget missing wide open looks. San Antonio hit a bunch of contested shots. I'm not in the first half. I will agree with you that the Bucks defense was not good. In the second, just go back and watch that fourth quarter. Go back and watch that fourth quarter and tell me how many contested shots, even when Giannis and was out of the game to start the fourth. Tell me how many contested shots you saw get hit from the San Antonio Spurs from Devin Vassell. I think he hit a couple threes that were tough. This Bucks team, I get it, and again, it's the San Antonio Spurs. But they do show a lot of resiliency to where they, night after night, they don't really let go of the rope. They just don't do it. And there are some veteran teams I've seen, like a Golden State Warriors at the time, who have let go of the rope. Who's, it's over. I haven't seen many times the Bucks against inferior competition and decent competition, bad competition. I have not seen too many games where the Bucks have been like, we're done. Now they may play disinterested at times. They may play and miscommunicate, but there's not a lot of times where they seriously just let go of the rope and say forget it. We'll chalk something and go into the next one. They don't do that. They battle every single night. Now again, whether they make mistakes, they battle. Nick says, what are you talking about? How many wide open threes did we miss? You can't say on the Spurs miss when the Bucks with better shooters miss more. I agree. And again, I wasn't even talking about our offense. I'm talking about on the defense side of the ball. I think you're right, Nick. I thought the Bucks, you say whatever you want about Pat Connaughton. That's a wide open three in the corner that he should have hit. Dame Lillard, we know who Dame Lillard is, shooting 1 for 6 from 3. Dame Lillard, if you go back, I go back throughout the games, how many shots does he miss? The Bucks, if there's anything, I wouldn't even call it luck, but the Bucks were lucky that Damian Lillard decided not to settle. Because if Damian Lillard had done what he's been doing the past few nights, where he just starts settling for threes instead of turning the corner and getting to the basket, the Bucks would have been in trouble. They probably do lose. But in the fourth quarter, Dame decided, again, you don't have to play with force. I think he had one layup where, his body contorted, and I don't think, not to say anything about the announcers, but it was as impressive as anything I saw tonight, maybe outside of the Giannis dunk over Wemby and the other one where he went through the lane and got the end one. Dame had one where he went to the basket in the fourth quarter, and I believe it was Victor, maybe it was the third, I'm not sure. But Victor Wembanyama was there, and Dame contorted his body. It was a long, lengthy layup, and contorted his body, extended, and flipped it up on the glass, and it went in. Over outstretched Victor Wembanyama, and Reggie Miller acted like he didn't do anything. But I thought it was big. John Hassel then says, yeah, at least Dame didn't have any turnovers. Best stat. Yeah, I agree. No turnovers from Dame. That was good to see. How about 4 turnovers from Brook Lopez? Like, that's kind of stuff that can kind of worry you, because you don't have turnovers from your turnover heavy guys. Giannis only had 1. Chris only played in the first half, so he only had 1. And then instead, your turnover guys tonight were Brook Lopez with 4, and then Pat Connaughton with 3. And so that just can't happen when you have 7 turnovers between Brook Lopez and Pat Connaughton and 1 assist between the two of them. That can't happen. So I thought that was rough. I've been rambling on. We're going on again as a back-to-back. So the Bucks had a good night, 125. When I say good night, the Bucks win at 125-121 over San Antonio Spurs. For a quick second, I'll talk about Chris's ramp up. Again, I was impressed. I will give Chris some credit for playing his first back-to-back since I believe they said it was April of 2022. Was that correct? I might be wrong on that, but yeah, that's good for him. Hadn't played a back-to-back in a long time. And I get he only played the first half of it. He was on a minutes restriction, but just goes to show you that he is obviously ramping himself up. And again, it's good to see, and he's playing well, at least offensively playing well. Marjan Cron says Darvin Ham may become useful. Well, he probably Pacers. Lakers fans are definitely are feeling some type of way about him. You saw the reports come out about Darvin Ham, obviously, today or whatever it was, and listen, LA just went to the conference finals. Now, I think they overachieved as well because, again, they got swept in the conference finals, and they were, by virtue of the by virtue of the play-in, they didn't get the 8th seed, and they would have faced Denver round 1. Instead, they got the 7th seed, and they advanced to the conference finals. So, again, you imagine the type of year. Imagine, again, Darvin Ham could very well have been on the chopping block. And they're saying he might be now, but he really could have been on the chopping block if they got swept in round 1 against Denver instead of going to the conference finals. And, again, there's a lot of – I just don't know what's going on with the Lakers team, man. Like, they are it's weird because you're even seeing now where Anthony Davis is putting up some decent numbers, and they're still not winning. So again, a lot of interesting stuff going on in LA. Nick C says Brook doesn't stretch the floor effectively anymore. I don't see a point to play more than 20 minutes against small ball or 5-out lineups. Yeah, I agree with a good bit of that. Again, I talked about it earlier that I do think that there's some matchups where he will be available, and one of the reasons why, and styles make fights. I think the Bucks match up well with the Philly, and they match up well with the Denver Nuggets basketball team because you do have Brook Lopez who can bang around the paint with some big bodies there. And then Robert Henry says Milton, yes, hope he stays healthy. But again, yeah, I appreciate Chris for all he's done. And again, offensively, he really looks like he's cooking. If Chris Milton takes away the turnovers, because again, he seems like facilitating he's gotten a lot better. For whatever reason, I think it's because he knows he has Dame and Giannis, and he almost makes a concerted effort to make sure those guys get the ball. But his jumper's looking smooth. He shot 5 for 8 tonight. If they can get him to stop turning the ball over, especially in opportune times, I mean, the way he's shooting the ball, he's playing a lot of scrappy basketball. And even again, I thought he's played a little bit better defensively over the last couple of games as well. So Chris Milton definitely is trending in the right direction. Guru game ball tonight, no question. There's zero question at all. It goes to Giannis Antetokounmpo. 39 minutes on the back end of a back-to-back gives you 44, 14, and 7. 2 steals, a block, 19 of 28, almost 68% from the field. He shoots 67% from 3, 2 for 3, and then 4 for 6 from the line. With only 1 turnover, is a plus 11 on the night. You can't say any more about how good of a game that that Giannis had tonight. So and again against Wemby, who obviously had a message to prove, and Wemby looked like he was out on a mission, and Giannis certainly matched that and went above and beyond to make sure that the Bucks came out on top. Nick says Chris always had that. He was always susceptible to awful turnovers leading to straight line open layups and transitions. Yeah, no, I agree, but it hurts even more now. So I guess what I'm saying is it hurts even more now. So when the offensive scoring is more important because you got to keep the scoreboard moving because your defense has fallen off a bit. So those turnovers that lead to like easy transition points are even worse now, or like they feel even worse than they did before. But yeah, I agree with that. Chris has always had a bad handle, kind of similar to Jaylen Brown is what I want to say. Let's look around the association tonight. Only a couple games on. The Bucks obviously beat the Spurs 125-121, and this is obviously on TNT. And the Nuggets are up right now at half over the Golden State Warriors. I think it was announced that Draymond Green should be about to come back. The Bucks are about to go on a trip right now, and I'll keep it. I won't give you anything else. I won't give you anything else around the world of sports and just around different things. We'll get out of here tonight because Saturday night, obviously, we'll be back with more Cream City crossover, and then we'll be on your T's and Q's Saturday as well. I will be on time, Kyle, 10 to noon for on your T's and Q's. So we'll kind of talk about some things that have happened in the world of sports at that point. But the Bucks have. Let's look at the schedule coming up really quick. That's what I want to get to before I get out of here. So look at the schedule coming up. Rockets, Jazz, Celtics, Warriors. Rockets, Jazz, Celtics, Warriors. But here's the kicker: you are on the road for only one of those games. And then, I'll back up: Rockets, Jazz, Celtics, Warriors, Kings. And you only have one. You have one of those on the road in Houston. So if you can beat Houston, which you should, Houston does play very well, has played much better at home than they have on the road. The Bucks are 9-7 on the road. Beat Houston. The Jazz at home should be a win, and then you set yourself up for a big-time showdown against Boston on Thursday night. And then, again, this is going to be a slight – again, that's a slight I'm not going to say it's a gauntlet. I don't think that's a gauntlet, but it's one of those things where – the strength of schedule people are going to talk about it, right? And they're, the strength of schedule people this is what they want to see. They don't want to see Detroit every other. They want to see how you play against Houston, how you play against Boston. Again, and the only thing I say about these games, we'll talk about them obviously the Cream City crossover, but what I say about these games, especially against the Kings, will run. They're gonna run. Some of these teams are going to run. They have a youth movement. They're a little bit younger. They're a little bit faster. Boston, younger, faster. Golden State, you don't have to worry about it as much. But teams that are young and fast and want to run and want to challenge you, yeah, you're going to have to bring it. And so I'm glad that the Bucks match the energy down the stretch, but what you want to see is them match it much earlier. Kudos, Giannis obviously didn't want to lose. Kyle, he still has that jumper. He still does, but I think the difference is now Chris is just facilitating even more so than he's ever done in the past. And when you do that, yeah, you got to get into your, gone are those days where, have you noticed, there's not as many, so the two guys, and then so I get out of here, the two guys used to do that often, right? Bobby Portis, the ball stops with him. Let's give it to Bobby. Let him do his work, on the baseline. Chris Middleton. How many times did Bud just call that for Chris? Chris probably had 5 or 6 of those possessions and plays where it was just give it to Chris on the baseline, and Chris just go do your thing. How many of those are still take place? Not many. That doesn't happen all the time now. Right? And so there's much more now of Chris bringing the ball up and really running and setting an offense to some people's dismay, versus offense coming in and there's this Chris Middleton post up that he gets to. It just, again, not that it doesn't happen at all, but he doesn't get to it as much as he used to. So we'll see it again. The Bucks have the Houston Rockets coming up on Saturday night. Listen, I say good win tonight. Good win for the Milwaukee Bucks. 125-121. Would you like to see a blowout? Absolutely. But I'll take the dub. The Bucks are going to continue to move. We'll be back again Saturday night with the Cream City crossover. Final thought, is just continue to win. People can be upset about what the Bucks look like and defense, but reinforcements are coming. Jay Crowder's coming. The Bucks are going to make a move. John Horst is watching this just like we all are. The offense is elite. Damian Lillard's got to keep playing hard. I get it. Sometimes that 3 ball is going to go in, but play with force. Get yourself to the basket. He did that in the fourth quarter tonight. Giannis continued dominating basketball games, just giving his team a will to win. I do think this team is going to come around defensively, hopefully post All-Star break. And like I said, if they don't, then the Bucks are going to be in some trouble. But right now, the Bucks are doing what they do, 25-10. You're right there, second in the East, with everything to play for at your disposal. This has been a Cream City Media Group production. Appreciate everybody for listening in, watching, like, follow, subscribe, all of that on the YouTube and at the Twitter at TCIIESQ. From the Guru, Trey Crosby III. Don't take no wood nickels. Hey, Saturday night and then Saturday morning as well. On your T's and Q's. Find me there, 97.3 The Game Worldwide, iHeartRadio. Don't take no wood nickels, and